Bob, we're back. And I thought we would do another little teaser for our master plan Masks of Nyarlathotep campaign that we're going to be running.
Sounds amazing.
Now to bring
Amazing.
everybody up to speed, I'm Matt Ryan and Bob is
I'm Bob
Bob
Geis. Still Bob Geis. Sorry.
Still Bob
Sorry to
Geis.
disappoint.
No. We for total transparency, we're trying to figure out how to do like a separated YouTube channel for these things. So we needed some content. So here is teaser 2, parenthesis, practice content, close parenthesis.
Right on.
Mike Mason made a very nice comment about us, about the teaser that we did, saying that you and I have very different keeper styles, Bob. So
Yeah.
I wondered what those styles were. Do you
For
ever
sure.
get self-reflective and
Of
think about
course.
when you're running a game and think about what you're good at and what you could be better at?
Yeah, I mean, gosh, all the time, every time, I run a lot of games and because I run a lot of convention games. So it's interesting when I hear that people have anxiety about running convention games because I've done it so much that I don't even think about it. It's just second nature to me. But it's totally different when you flip the script and you're running a campaign game. It's a much different experience. And for me, it's a bit of an adjustment. I have to adjust more to a campaign setting than a con setting.
What's the biggest? Well, there's the time difference, right?
Yep.
A con setting is confined. You're playing with people you don't necessarily know,
Yep.
and you're delivering like one or two chills, right?
Yeah, exactly. I know the content inside and out, and I know what beats we have to hit at what time in order to get to the end, right? With a campaign, it's open-ended, right? And so I have a tendency to just let my players, just roll out with it, right? It's like a fish on a line, and they're just stringing it out, and they're stringing it out, and I'm not going to reel them in, until and I'm not going to set the hook and reel them in for a long time. Totally different at a con. So doing this masks campaign with you, I'm going to have to rein that in a little bit because we're trying to do this in sync. So if my New York chapter takes months and yours takes one session, we have a problem.
Well, mine won't take one session. Session 0, we're going to get together. Remember, there's 9 of us counting me. They've got 8 players. So session 0, we're going to get together. They're going to make characters. Here's a quick side question. Let's say are your guys making characters? Are your folks, they making characters?
I don't know yet. See, I have a mix of players, some new, some experienced, and I bet my guys will say, Bob, just make us characters, right? Just make us characters. They have a tendency to do that, and I do a lot of pre-gen characters, and that's fine. I don't see a lot of difference between the two, and I'm notorious for if somebody has a character that I don't like, I'll just forget it. Forget the entire campaign. We're done.
You'll just land it. You'll
Yep.
just land the airplane.
That's right. No, it's not quite that bad. But again, it'll be interesting to see what they want to do. I bet my guys will say, make us characters.
My folks are many of them are, we've chatted a little bit. They've already got ideas for the kind of characters that they're going to make. And it's funny because I'm going through the book and I'm reading the pre-gens that are provided. And I want to remind you that the crew that wrote it did provide pre-gens. And the pre-gens are things like lawyers and explorers and a dilettante, and they're very Lovecraftian. What's another one? A librarian, maybe there's a
Sure.
language academic.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
All
Very
right.
handy.
My players, the characters they want to make include stuntmen, a folk singer, let's see, a retired nurse. So I was thinking if I was going to tell somebody what kind of occupational character we could use in this, well, what would you say? If I came to the table and I say, well, what kind of character should I make? Like, what should their occupation be? How would you answer?
Well, again, so knowing masks, I would say your character needs to be somebody who has, has the freedom to move about the world, right? Literally, it's a globe spanning campaign. So, what kind of a person in the 1920s would have that? Level of resources and freedom, right, to be able to just move around. So again, I can see why the pre-gens are, academics and those individuals occupations that could be more lucrative, right? So they would have more disposable income. And again, also, the flip side though is the hook, right? The hook, our good friend Jackson Elias, it's their personal connection to him, right? So that could be also a telling thing about the character, right? So maybe that character doesn't fit those sorts of things, right? Maybe they're not in a situation where they can just do anything or like that, but they have a close personal connection to Mr. Elias.
I see. I see. All right. So just to get back to the question though, Bob,
Yeah.
what the hell are you good at when you're running the game?
That's a great question, Matt. I think that what I tend to do a lot of is a lot of prep, work. I come to the table very, very prepared. So, I will have, lots, again, I'll be using this fantastic thing, right?
Oh
The
yes,
HP.
yes, yes,
So
yes.
that's going to cut into my prep time. I won't have to make my own handouts and props because I'll be using these.
Mhm.
Um, so, again, what I'll want to do is maybe spice things up with some audio clips, and they do provide some audio clips, maybe some background music, maybe.
Background music,
Yeah, yeah. Uh, 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 Background music. Also, I do a PowerPoint like with NPCs.
which blows me away. And
Yeah,
Bob did for the 8 people that are watching this, and welcome back 8. Maybe you could tell a friend we could get up to 9.
yeah, there you
Uh,
go.
Bob ran a con scenario that I wrote, and Bob did all this fantastic PowerPoint thing to introduce the location, the cars, because that scenario had cars. No, you did. That's what that
Yeah.
was very. That's very
No,
cool.
again, it gives the players something to look at, and focus on, and draw their attention to, and they know who they're talking to, right? Oh, we're talking to this guy, right? So yeah, um, in terms and just a lot of energy, right? And another thing, I don't tell the players no necessarily, right? If they say I want to do this, I'll say, sure, you can do that. Now, in the back of my head, I know that has terrible ramifications and it's going to be a disaster, but I'm going to let them do it, right? I'm not going to
Yeah,
say
yeah,
no.
yeah.
And I think,
What if it's a great big what if it's a great big waste of time?
that's a great thing. In my normal, if this was me just running, I would say, all right, let's go there. Let's do that. It's going to be a terrible waste of your time, but we're going to do that. And if it takes a session or two, maybe we can do that. But there's also I I've run a lot of games for a lot of people, so I know how to misdirect and to redirect people, right? So if people are doing are floundering, I'll just say, well, there's this is here, this is the scene
Hold
where
them
you're
back
at.
in.
Yeah,
Hold
and
them
say
back in.
there's a bank, there's a library, there's a park, and list all the different locations, again and again, hoping
Yeah,
that they'll pick up on it and focus back in. Those are the sorts of things that we'll have to do when I'm running this campaign.
yeah.
So yeah, so Matt, I want to know what you think you do well.
What pretty sure that I do well. I'm fairly confident in that I can juggle a lot of balls at the table. That's why I like a lot of players, because I'm pretty good at reading the crowd, seeing who's engaged, seeing who's not engaged, seeing who needs a little less spotlight time, and moving things around. And I can be pretty direct in sort of cutting somebody off. You know what? Lovingly, but I
Mhm.
can shift that spotlight to other people so that I can get almost close to maximum participation. So I
Fantastic.
and I enjoy that. I enjoy that frenetic energy bouncing back around.
Absolutely. I've seen you run games, high energy. That's key.
What I'm bad at is giving players the floundering around time that they need to make a decision on a course of action. So there's a certain amount of time that players need to figure out what to do. And if I'm throwing a lot of things at them, that increases the amount of time they need to make a decision.
Yeah.
And I've got some real ditherers on my
Mhm.
team. People that, well, we could do this, but what if this? Well, then this. Well, what if this? And we live in what if land a long time.
Mm. Okay.
And I
No, I get
generally
it.
give people a time limit. I'll say we can do what ifs for 10 minutes. And then maybe I should make it 15 minutes. I don't know. But I want to get the ball rolling.
Yeah, no, I get it. And I worry, again, I'm still, unlike you, I'm still assembling my team. So I wonder if I have the person who's the decision maker in my team, right? Because I have a lot of planners, but do I have somebody who is a leader who's going to say, let's do this, whether it's a bad idea or not? They're taking an action and dragging the rest of the group with them.
Yes. Yes. Bob, we could go on and then over the course of the weeks, we will go on and on. We'll drone on endlessly and likely moronically, but maybe it'll be entertaining. The
Maybe.
hope is, I'm having a good time.
Yeah. If people want to hear us drone on moronically, I have an unlimited supply.
Well, you suggested perhaps we do this because we're going to go to a lot of shows together.
Yep.
You had
Yep.
suggested that maybe we do this
At
live.
Chaosium Con.
Well, we'll talk to, I know some people.
Yeah, I do as well. I still have. I need to. This is for Bridget. I'm going to submit my games. I swear I will submit my games.
Yes, yes, and I've got my blurb. For my con blurb is written. The blurb, the adventure will come.
Oh yeah, yeah, absolutely. It'll be great. It'll be another Matt Ryan epic.
Okay, so we had other things that we were going to talk about. Here, we've got 2 minutes left in this thing. So, Bob, I've
Yep.
never run this. I've never run
Yep.
Mask. It's
Yep.
massive, right? It's big.
It's
Lots
massive.
of you've run
Yep.
it 4 or 5 times.
Yep.
You were going to give 2 points of advice to me, or whatever, 3. 2 points of advice for a new keeper who's going to run Mask. What would they be?
Well, so obviously be familiar with the entirety of the campaign. Understand you have to read this campaign all the way through because you have to understand what's happening at the very end, and otherwise it will be confusing. Why are we doing any of this? So it's one of those things where they say read it all the way. You got to do it.
Stop. I've got to read this whole thing before Jan 24.
Yeah.
All
Yeah,
right,
you really do. You need to know why they're going and because they're going to ask you. They'll ask questions and you won't know the answer. And even if you're not going to give them the answer, you need to know the answer.
Number 2.
Don't hold your punches, right?
I do that. Were you talking with Mason?
No, I'm just saying
I pull my punches on the characters.
This is a visceral campaign, and they're going to go into some nasty, nasty business. And there's going to be times when it's when it's not fair, and if they play their cards wrong, then you gotta deal with it, right? You got to deal with it. Blood will be spilled. Sanity will just go out the window. I mean, there's one scene. I'm not going to say anything, but there's one scene. It's like the numbers are against you, my friends.
That is a great way to end this. Thanks. Thank you, Bob. It's always a pleasure. And I'll talk to you soon. Stop recording.